Good morning, everyone. How are you today? Good? Great. And how was your weekend? Everyone had a good weekend? Awesome. I hope you guys ready for today's lesson, okay? Now, before we start our lesson today, I would like to ask you one simple question there. The question is, what is the thing that you don't like in a conversation? Or what is the thing that you find quite upsetting in a conversation? Anyone? Agatha? Yeah, when someone is talking too long. And when someone is talking too long, what do you tend to do? What kind of action that you do in that situation? We cut them. We cut their talk by doing what that action called? Interrupting. We tend to interrupt other person when they talk too long. You guys are correct. Can anyone tell me what actually interrupting is? Can you give me a definition? 1 or 2 sentences. Okay, Theo? Good job. Well done, Theo. So, Theo was right. Interrupting is once you trying to stop someone from talking, or, well, we'll learn about what actual interruption can means later on. But before that, I'm going to give you 2 examples in here, 2 sentences. Now, let's see. The first sentence is, she interrupted John. Can you guys repeat me? She interrupted John. That's correct. In here, in this case, interrupted act as a verb. This is a verb form. Now, the second example is, that was an interruption. This is a noun. Yes. You guys already learned about this in the previous semester, right? Okay. So you guys tend to have interruption during a conversation, right? It's normal. It is very normal for us to have a conversation, and conversation comes with interruption or interrupting. It is very normal thing that happen in our daily life. Now, we're going to learn about when do people usually interrupt, or when interruption occurs in a conversation. Okay, so when do interrupting or interruption occur in a conversation? Your friend already mentioned one example. It's when somebody else already talking too long. What else? No idea? Okay, here I give you the situations where interruption usually occurs. First one is when somebody or the other person is off of the topic. So for example, let's say Theo and Agatha are talking about soccer, or maybe they're talking about their homework. And then suddenly, Theo is talking about other person's private business. That's already off of the topic. It's already out of the topics. And that is when the other person, Agatha in this case, have to interrupt Theo, so Theo won't be out of the topic anymore. Okay? There are also other situations. That is when the other person talks too long, like what one of your friend already mentioned earlier. And also when you have something important to say. So it's not always about the other person. It's also about us. Like when we want to say something to the other person. For example, you have something important to tell them. Maybe it's when the other person has something on their face. Probably it's a piece of rice on their face, and you want to let them know that there is something on their face. That is when the time you have to interrupt to tell them that there is something on their face. Okay? And also, when you want to add something, it's simply because you want to add something on what they're saying. Okay. So here are the situations when interruption usually occur. Now, before we move on to another material, I have to remind you that interruption or interrupting is actually a normal thing in our conversation, in our daily life. It's the same like conversation. It is normal. We have conversation every day in our life, you know. And interruption or interrupting also comes with it. It is one package, okay? So when somebody give you interruption, do not feel upset about it, okay? Now, interrupting politely. There are some expressions that you can say to interrupt a person. So here are the example of the expressions. First one is sorry for interrupting, but, and then can I just say something here? The third one is can I just mention something? Also, may I add something? Or could I add something? Also, before you move on, I'd like to say something. Sorry to interrupt, but I'd like to add, say, or mention something. So you can choose which one of this word over there. Also, in an informal situation, you can use, wait a second, hold on. Like when you're talking with your friends or your siblings, your cousin, you'd be, wait, hold on a second. So let's learn about this expression in here. First one, repeat after me, okay? Sorry for interrupting, but. Yes, and you can add this expression with sorry for interrupting, but can I just say something here? So you have to add another sentence to ask question whether you can interrupt them or not. Also, okay, repeat after me, okay? Can I just say something? Can I just say something here? Can I just say something here? Yes, great. And the next one, you can also use sorry for interrupting, but can I just mention something? Can I just mention something? Something like that. And then you can say may I or could I add something or say something or mention something or yes. And also, before you move on, I'd like to say something. Repeat after me. Repeat after me, okay? Okay. And you read the next one. Sorry to interrupt, but I'd like to add, say, or mention something. Yes. And here, ing, it is actually means I would. I'd like to say something. I would like to say something. Something like that. It is important to start the sentence with sorry or apologize because that is one of the polite way to start a sentence when you want to interrupt a person. So remember, you have to be polite to other person, okay? Remember, you have to treat other person how you want to be treated, so be polite. Okay, now we already learned about the expressions of interrupting. Next, we're going to learn about something else, okay? Okay, now let's switch the situation in here. People might interrupt you, but there's also a high possibility. Okay, now let's change the situation in here. You interrupt people, okay, in a conversation. And also, do not forget that there's also a high possibility that people might interrupt you. You might get comfortable and talk too long, so people will interrupt you. When somebody interrupts you, what do you have to do? You have to be polite. You can let them say their parts, okay? Or maybe you want them to be involved in the conversation. You can ask them to add something like, is there anything you'd like to say? Is there anything you want to say? Something like that. Or when you are talking about something very important, you're trying to explain an important point and you don't want them to interrupt you, you can refuse them with some expressions in here, so you can finish your talk. So when you're saying something important, you can just say, I'm sorry, let me finish my point first, or let me finish what I was saying. Or you can also say, I'm about to finish my point. Okay, so it's actually okay to not give other person a chance, because maybe you would forget if you let them cut your talk. Okay, and also we have to keep in mind that people might not always talk to interrupt you. They might also give you verbal signs. For example, like raise hand, eye contact, and hold up finger. Like in a classroom, okay? When the teacher explains something, the student might raise their hand because they want to add something or ask a question. They are interrupting the teacher by raising their hand. But remember, every culture have different way of non-verbal interrupting. Okay, so there are the things that we learned today. That's today's lesson. I hope you can apply this expression in your life, in your daily life, in your conversation. Okay, students. I'll see you next week. Take care. Bye.